Well, we're at the range today. It's a little chilly, and I wanted to talk to you about a scope that I just got for 22 long range. And if you've seen my Tikka review of my Tikka T1x for 22 competition, then you know that it's the Vortex Strike Eagle. But I wanted to do a video just on the Strike Eagle. Hi everyone, it's the 4-gun guy. And if you're looking for a scope sub 1,000, around $700, I think the Vortex Strike Eagle is a great buy. So what I wanted to do today is let's look at it on the rifle. I'll go through an unboxing. We'll do my famous comparison matrix against some other alternatives. There's plenty out there. Not saying this is the only one or that this is the one you should buy. And then we're going to do some range time. So I'm going to give you some views through the scope at about 500 yards in case you wanted to use this for like an intro PRS scope. And then we're going to go to the 22 range and we're going to look at those real small 22 targets through this thing. And then we'll have some final thoughts. So if you're ready to go, let's get started. Well, let's look at the comparison matrix. And as you know, I do one of these for all my reviews. I put the Vortex Strike Eagle in that first column. So let's go down that first. So 56 millimeter objective means a lot of light's going to come in. A 34 millimeter tube means that light is going to be transmitted a little better than if it was a 30 millimeter tube. Field of view, don't discount this in a scope, especially if you're going to get into something entry level for PRS. You need a good field of view. You need good eye relief. All of these have pretty good eye relief on them. When we get down to the parallax, here's another topic that we need to talk about. If you look at these other scopes with 25 and 50 yards of parallax, they're not going to do well in a shorter match like a 22 long range. So again, it just depends on what you may use it for. Just consider those things. The elevation and windage adjustments, look, be careful of getting too small of an adjustment like that Vortex Viper or the loophole. Too little of adjustment may impact your ability to reach out to longer ranges. And then the locking turrets, yep, I like locking turrets. Just in case you're in a stage and you're bumping it around on a window in a house or something like that, I just like to know that those turrets are locked. And the rest of the, items there, it's pretty much the same for all of these scopes. The optical coating, water resistant, shock, fog, the finish, all of that. Now, I want to finish though here on the included accessories. So again, with the Vortex Strike Eagle, we get the sunshade, the throw lever, the lens covers, and then the rest of the normal stuff that you get. Now you do get a lens cover and a throw lever with the Miopta. And let's see, you get a throw lever with the loophole, you get a sunshade with the Viper, and it looks like you do get both lens covers and a sunshade with the Burris. So, all good, but I still say for $700, this Vortex is a really good value. Now, let's look at some of the yellow areas here. So for the loophole and the Burris, their magnification didn't go up as high as I would have wanted it to. You're not going to go into high magnification in a match, for example, right? We generally stay between, say, 12 and 15 or 18 magnification. But if you're going to practice and if you want to see hits out to, 600, 700, 800 yards while you're practicing, you may want a higher magnification scope. The one yellow for the weight that I did put there was the loophole, because at 21.7 ounces, that tells me that they're sacrificing some durability maybe or some beefiness for a lighter weight optic. So, banging this thing around in a match may not be something that you want to do with it. And then, of course, the not locking turrets on those last three really came into to consideration for me. Now, I'm going to end this section by saying, again, these are not all, this is not an exhaustive list, right? This is just an example of some of the scopes I looked at And, you know, when it came right down to it, you know what made me decide this? It was that reticle. So hopefully you can use something like this, put your own scope options in there, research your own scopes. If you'd like this matrix, let me know. I can send it to you. And I hope it helps you with making your decision. Well, let's talk reticle really quickly. So this is the Strike Eagle EBR 7C reticle, which is the same reticle that comes on the Razor Gen 2, so I was used to it. Very nice center dot. It doesn't cover up the target. It also has a 1/2 mil marking, which you wouldn't think is important, but it can be very important in a match. Let's compare this to some others now. So here is the Athlon APR-S5 reticle. It's a nice reticle. It doesn't have the 1/2 mil mark on it, and it does have a small center dot. The Burris SCR. This has a crosshair in the center of it, so if you zoom in on this thing, it could cover your target. The Optica Dichro, this is just way too busy for me, and to me it looks like it's just going to cover the target up, and that's pretty zoomed in. Finally, the Leupold CCH. I mean, those V's, my eye goes directly to those V's and not to the center of this reticle. So, with all that said, I still love this Vortex Strike Eagle, the EBR 7C reticle, and this was, again, a major factor in my decision. You know, I decided I'm not going to open a box and take stuff out, so I already did all that. Let's just go through what we have. We've got the instructions. We have the lens cover, which I actually like this. I think that's called like a bikini lens cover. We've got a lens cloth, the zero ring for your zero stop, a hex wrench. We have this throw switch, which is a nice throw switch. I mean, this thing's metal, so it's a nice throw switch. CR2032 battery, and then I've already put the sunshade on it. So you actually get a lot for this scope. We're going to look through the lens here in a little bit to see the reticle, but I just wanted to show you the scope itself. Let's kind of zoom in on it and we'll look at some of the features. Well, look, some of the things that kind of set this apart for me anyway there were three basic things. One was it had that EBR 7C MRAD reticle, which I had on my Razor Gen 2. The other thing I like about this is if you look at this parallax ring here, the parallax on this thing is from 15 yards to infinity. Now I want to talk about why that might be important to you. This, as you can see, is on my wife's Bergara 6.5 Creedmoor rifle. The rifle is unloaded, there's nothing in it, so don't worry about that. But I may be getting into 22 rifle matches or competition. And when you start reading up on that, the kind of scope you want is something with a lower parallax. So if you're looking at scopes for 22 long range matches and they have a 50 yard, 100 yard, 75 yard parallax, that's not going to really fit in there. So that was another reason why I went with this. The main reason was the reticle, because I just love that reticle. But again, as we say, the magnification's 5x25. The objective is 56 millimeter. It does have a 34 millimeter tube. This was another thing I looked at. Why? Because I already have these Seekins rings from my old Steiner scope. I don't want to go buy 30 millimeter rings, right? And that's just another expense. So I thought I'll go with a 34 millimeter tube, and we should be good to go. Now, let's talk about some of the features that are in this price range. I'm going to start from the back. The diopter setting back here. This is not locking. To me, that's not a big deal. It's just not for me. But if it is to you, you might want to look at something else. It's very, very easy to turn, which I like for the diopter. I don't like the diopters to be difficult. Coming up to the zoom on this is really good. Now, I'm going to put that throw switch on there, but I can tell you what, even with this right now, look at this. I mean, it's very easy to turn, but it's not it's not really easy. You know what I mean? Where it'll get, where you'll overturn it or it'll come out of zoom once you start firing. I really, really like this. And once I get that throw switch, it's going to be very nice. It does have illumination. The illumination on this is actually pretty darn good for that reticle. It does not have, here's some things, again, to look at it, a scope. It does not have in-between settings off. So you're going to have to remember to reset this at 0. I do not use illumination, so I'm most likely just going to take the battery out of this thing because I don't even want to have it in there. And now we get to the turrets. Now, I kind of messed this up today when I was at the range. I didn't have this 0 ring with me, so I did 0 the scope, but as you'll be able to see here, I'll be able to go way past 0 here. So I'm going to redo that next time I go up to the range. But here's what I want you to do, or want you to notice. Number one, I like the fact that these turrets, right, I can pull it up, set it, and then put it back down. They're locking turrets, and I like that. And I'm going to take this microphone off of my shirt here, and I'm going to bring it around, and I want you to hear these turrets. If you're running a Razor Gen 2, a Night Force, a Zero Compromise like I do, any of these Tier 1, even the Tier 2s, the Razor Gen 2, the first time you spin these turrets, you're going to go, man, I do not like that. They're going to feel mushy to you. Very mushy, as a matter of fact, as opposed to those other scopes. All I want you to realize is, again, this is a $700 scope. This is a Tier 3 scope. And when I first turned these, I was like, okay. There's a little play here, as you can see, just a little bit of play. But guys, I got to tell you right now, and we're going to look at that reticle here in a little bit. If I was just starting out, I would have gone with something like this over the Steiner. Glass in the Steiner, excellent. But I've got to tell you, I am shocked by the glass in this Vortex Strike Eagle. I just really am. After having the Gen 2 and now having that Zero Compromise, I was very impressed with the glass in this thing. And I don't get anything Vortex by saying that, but I'm just saying, very, very nice glass in here. Well, here we are at the long range, and I just wanted to show you what this might look like if you were going to use this for, you know, say an intro PRS scope or something like that. Now what we're seeing here is the 500-yard berm. So this is 500 yards, and you can see the reticle. Let's go ahead and zoom in here at target F. Let's take a look at this reticle. Now this is 12 magnification. This is 20 magnification. So let's get that reticle on there. Let's see if I can focus a little more and if we can get this really crystal clear for you. There we go. I'm trying to get the reticle and the target in focus, so it's kind of difficult. But look, here's what I want you to notice. Remember we were talking about the reticle, the half mil marking on the windage. And I just really like this EBR-7C reticle. I also want you to look at the edges of this scope because, look, for a $700 scope, that glass is not bad at all. So I'm going to come all the way in. This is 25 right here. And again, guys, I'm shooting this through my camera, through the scope. So, you know, let me see if I can even focus a little more here. I don't know if I can or if it's going to come out well, but I can just tell you. Now look, these are some pretty small targets. Generally what we're going to shoot here is, you know, as I said earlier, we're going to most likely be in the 15 to 12 magnification range when we're shooting these targets out here. And yeah, so I just wanted to show you this. and then we're going to go to the 22 range, and I'm going to show you some 22 targets. Well guys, here we are at the 22 range, and what I'm looking at now is it's a hanger rack that is 50 yards out. So that's 50 yards out. Let's zoom in here. Now, because of the camera, the way the camera is, you see how I'm getting that darkening there? That's just because of the way I have the camera set up. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that. But what I really want to do is focus here. There you go. I've got to adjust parallax. I got to do all sorts of stuff, right? So let me try to adjust the parallax. That's a little clearer, it looks like to me. That's a 50-yard target. This is at 20 power. Now, what I want to tell you is, do you see this target right here? See where I'm on right there? This is where this reticle comes into play. And remember, I've been telling you that that center dot, let me really zoom. Oh, look at how clear that is. That's crisp. That target right there is a 1/4 inch target at 50 yards. That dot is not covering it up. So, you know, I know I've beaten this reticle thing to death. I know I have, guys. But I just have to tell you, this is at full power, and it's not covering it up. Now, generally, for 22, I'm probably going to be at 16 power, which is what I'm at right now. And let's look down range here and see what we have. I can't remember, but I think this range right here is probably around 130 yards, maybe 150. Let me see if I can focus. Again, I apologize. I'm looking through the scope. I'm looking through a monitor. I'm trying to look and make sure everything's all right. But again, love the reticle. Scope looks great. So I just wanted to show you some shots here on the 22 range. A lot of targets, a lot of small targets. So those targets in the back there are not big. It's amazing to me the windage that you have to take into consideration when we're out here at the 22 range, like that little yellow bird there, or whatever that is. I'll zoom in on that. Yeah, I think it's a bird. But anyway, I hope you get a little bit out of this, out of me showing you through the scope here. Let's get back to the shop, and we'll have some final thoughts. Well, here we are at final thoughts. I'll try to keep it kind of short. Let's just go down the list of why I think the Vortex Strike Eagle is a good purchase. So first, value. What you get with this scope for $700, sunshade, throw lever, the lens covers, everything else, I think that's a good value. That on top of the glass, you look through the glass, and it was through my camera, I get all that. But I have to tell you, I'm going to say it one more time, guys. The glass in this thing surprised me. It surprised me. $700 scope, good glass. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put this on par with my Steiner. I am, and the Steiner was a much more expensive scope. Let's talk about the reticle. You are sick and tired of me talking about the reticle, but it is a consideration. The same reticle that's in the Razor Gen 2, they put in this scope. I thought it was brilliant by Vortex to do that. Parallax, remember we talked about the 15 yards instead of like a 25 or a 50 yard parallax. That makes this a real contender for those 22 matches. And then finally, the quality. Now look, I've seen videos out there, even recent videos on the quality of Vortex. And all I can tell you is, again, they pay me nothing. None of these people pay me anything. All I can tell you is the Vortex products I've had have been really good products with good quality. I dropped my red dot when shooting 3-gun on my AR. I dropped it, boxed it up, sent it in. Within 4 days, I had a brand new red dot from them. Not refurbished, not any. It was brand new. So I'm kind of a Vortex guy when it comes to their warranty and their quality. It looks great on this rifle. This is the Tikka T1x 22 long range that I was talking about. I do have it wrapped, and that's just I really do this to protect it. I also wrap it in the white here so I can tell my rifle apart from others. And I really do that for my big gun because it really blends in out on the line during a match. So I just went with a different color, which is why I went with white, but I think it looks kind of nice. So with all that said, I want to thank you again for watching, and please remember the matrix, my comparison matrix, is what I wanted to compare. You may come up with other criteria that are going to help you make your decision for your needs and your scope. So I'm not telling you to buy this scope. I just hope this review was helpful to you. And until next time, guys, shoot straight.